Yeah. Yeah, probably.
All right, cool. So EDG against Snake, game 2, getting into champion select. Fiora and Rengar banned out against Snake, and again, double jungle bans in from Snake, so we might be in for some more jungle craziness.
Yeah, we're going to have some jungle spice
This
here.
might be, I don't know, a bait to bring Clearlove into the jungle Evelyn once more, but even if they know it's coming, does that, like, can Snake deal with the Evelyn?
They would probably ban it second phase. They played well against it in the first game, but the problem is that they had to put in so much work to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Right? They had to put in so much work to really stop Evelyn
they weren't
from
doing anything else.
And even then, Rumble picked the safest way to go back top lane and still got cheesed, or just like completely demolished.
Flandre knew as well.
Yeah, he
So
just couldn't see the Evelyn. Like, what can you do against that?
There it is.
There we have
Triple
it.
jungle bans against Clearlove. Man, I would never have expected Clearlove to come back and then come back in this form and for there to be triple jungle bans. That's incredible. But it leaves up the Galio for EDG now.
So much respect coming in for Clearlove, and that's what a lot of people have to do, put in that respect. Elise is the one ban that, like, people, it's a meta ban, so purple side, you want to ban Elise because it's so strong right now in picking up lanes. But it's not so much a Clearlove ban. He can play it, but it's not really a comfort or strength for him, so that's something that maybe they could have played a little bit more gambling on. They could have just decided to leave it open and see if he picked it.
Bringing Thresh and Lee Sin in from Snake. Lee Sin into the jungle there from SOFM, so back to a big comfort pick for himself. And again, an early Thresh pick for Crystal. Oh, and that's just a Kha'Zix straight up locked in for Clearlove as well, so he already knows what he wants to pick.
Yeah, Kha'Zix is another pick that Clearlove's gone towards, even if when it was out of meta, so it's natural that he would pick it up against Lee Sin, which has a good matchup for Kha'Zix. He can do a lot of damage if they meet each other and trade just in the river. Braum is natural simply because Thresh is going to be the priority pick between both supports, and Braum is a good pick into Thresh, so you'll like to see that coming out of EDG, which makes their composition a lot more tankier, a lot more beefier, which means that Clearlove can play that damage jump.
Sure. That'll be the first rotation from EDG. Snake, one final pick before we head into yet more bans for them.
Ooh.
This could be another Callista. Callista has been in a lot of our games recently, actually. It's going to be locked in straight up for OQ, so I like it here. Seems like, again, a lot of skirmishing power from Snake. Meanwhile, Ashe we picked up, or banned away, rather, from EDG.
You should just expect more 80 carry bans, perhaps even the Caitlyn on the next one. Reason for it is because Callista Thresh is just so strong. Level 2, level 6, it's just a bully lane. And they know they're going up against a melee matchup here, so if they just take away the strong 80 carries that can shove, they can really kind of zone the lane out and look to play towards bottom lane. So SOFM already has his sights set on that lane. I want to see what Zet looks to pick up, because Varus could be another one, actually. Varus and Ashe could be very much the bottom lane bans. There we have it.
Yeah, but it does leave up Caitlyn, as you were talking about, so it's still something that they do have to somewhat fear, but it is also a Braum, so there is some lost power in that one in the first place. Maybe just feel like confident that they could either hit the hook or that they can just like survive the Caitlyn poke in lane.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the case. For me, if I look towards Snake, I want them to pick a Talia to be able to solidify that. They're not going to be able to stop EDG from picking up Caitlyn, but they can really nail it down with a strong mid lane roaming pick. That being said, Zatai can still play Twisted Fate, so that's still in his wheelhouse. They can't ban away that. They can ban the Kassadin, can't ban away all these mid laners. So they could either do two things. Pick up the Talia because it's a strong mid lane pick, or just wait on counter pick because you're on red side, just so you can pick up Twisted Fate if you think it's strong. So they're going to do that. They're just going to wait. There's no reason for them to pick their mid just yet, which means that Scout could pretty much go for that pick himself.
Kennen was the final ban from EDG, and it's going to be an instant lock of the Jarvan. For top lane there for Flandre. Get to see him on that pick as well. One of the more recent meta picks that's been cropping up. And back to EDG. They need a top laner slash mid laner. They have the Galio already. It's going to be Kled locked in. So that could go mid or top again. More likely top.
Yeah, but it would be blind, so go top lane, I would assume, because they know they're going up against Jarvan.
Yeah.
And Kled, of course, has trade into Jarvan. So that's going to be a matchup Mouse wants against that. So that's a Kog'Maw in the bottom lane. Kog'Maw Braum. So that one's pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, but we do have just a straight up team fight with flank in from Kled here from EDG. So it does make sense. I mean, Kog'Maw or Caitlyn would have been fine here. So it's It's a little riskier, I would say.
Yeah, and now that we know that's going to be a Galio mid, that kind of nails down a lot of options for Zetai. He doesn't want to go towards weak mid lane matchups, because then he would just get his entire damage negated. It's going to be a LeBlanc here for him.
Almost necessary, I have to feel, from Snake. You need some way to deal with the Kog'Maw, at least on the flank out from Snake. Otherwise, you're mostly screwed. And they didn't have the option of Caston either, so that's the final pick from Snake. Just from this draft, do you favor either team?
Ooh, see, it's tough. I would favor Snake just because they have such an early game strength in SOFM Zetai being on the, of course, a strong jungle mid.
Yep.
They can really impact mid lane matchup. Maybe won't be able to kill it outright, but they can really harass it and push it out of lane, and then they can look towards really strengthening the Kalista Thresh. So I like the fact that Snake is going towards such an aggressive composition. But if it doesn't work, the team fight of EDG is just so damn strong.
It's either snowball in the early game or EDG is going to run you over. And even if you stall to the late game, Kog'Maw, I think yesterday showed it best. We had a lot of Kog'Maw picks yesterday.
Yeah.
And when that pick gets past 40 minutes, you basically just lost the game unless you have a consistent way of assassinating him. So this could be pretty tough for Snake, but there are windows in which they can win. So I feel a little bit better in this game for Snake's chances.
And it's not as if once the game moves on to the 40-minute, 50-minute portions of it, it's that the Snake outright lose. But it seems like they'll just have to go in pure guerrilla warfare tactics of just pick out somebody with a Thresh Hook or a LeBlanc on a side lane looking to just close out Vision so he can find a way to pick off anybody that isn't Kog'Maw, unless, of course, if he's given that gold mine.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for Snake if they get to that portion. It's going to be all on EDG to stop it from ending before 20 minutes.
I agree, Raz. If this was theoretically for any other team, that is the case. But do we have the faith that Snake will be able to execute on that? You know, the 40-minute mark rolls around, got Kog'Maw 3 items, and then Snake, will they actually do that?
Here's why it's so hard. They're going up against EDG. And we saw what happens with EDG in the last game, where EDG will commit fully, even when it's not the play they started. The bottom lane fight was all Snake setup. But EDG moved fast. They were ready for the counter gank. They engaged entirely with the people who were in the area. Now they have a Galio mid, so that hero's entrance is an option.
Is indeed. And let's get into game 2 here. EDG and Snake. It would be a power statement for EDG just to stomp out Snake here in a 0-2 after losing earlier on in this week to Dan Gaming. Would be a nice redemption for them. And Snake will have more chances to see them next week as well. But still, for them not to pick up a single win here would be a bit of a body blow.
And this is what hurts for Snake in first week. Week 1, they only have one set. And their one set's going to be up against EDG. They're already coming in, I would say, theoretically, organizations coming in with low morale because of what happened with TGA, the promises that they made, the fan criticism and pressure. If they just go into the second week, go into a full week with just having that one loss on their mind against EDG, and a 2-0 at that, gonna feel really bad. And it's just only gonna get worse going into week 2. So they want to start this one off with the win, even if it's just one game. Losing this game and starting off the split going into week 2 2-0 is just going to be a catastrophe for them.
Yeah, it definitely hurt. It's always a strength and a weakness going up against a top team like EDG, but also being the only team to contend with. That being said, OQ is getting stack after stack onto Zed, and the final also from Crystal. With a very nice trade onto Zed, but it's going to be concussive blows. Yet
here we have
play,
it.
and this might be a kill. Gonna have to be the flash at the very least from Zed. Mako gets chased down there from OQ. So already, once we were talking doom and gloom for Snake, a very nice start to the game in the bottom lane.
That's how you want to start it off. It all just came apart when EDG got hooked, or at least flayed early. Of course, Kalista Thresh level 1, that good. But then when Mako tried to start to trade anything back, that's just when you lose all your sums. That being said, Flandre.
Hello, what's going on here? Flandre tries to turn it around for a second before flag and dragging back to safety. Mouse has been dismounted, so it's not terrible for Flandre at this point in time, but he's still going to take the opportunity to recall. He's going to cancel that one in the end.
Yeah, he can stick around because at this point, we already talked about it, you lose Skarl, you don't regen any HP because that's Skarl's HP from that point forward. So Jarvan's going to be feeling comfortable. The only thing he has to worry about is just Clear Love coming in for a second gank. But at that point, you already have Lee Sin in your back pocket. So SOFM is in good position to look for a counter gank if this so happens. So Clear Love, with that in mind, is going to sit back.
Clear Love just still working his way through his jungle. SOFM yet to get on the map just yet, but he did go for a full clear. It was level 4. And there's no crab to speak of, but Mouse will instantly flash away and try and get this skull back. And indeed he does. Any other jungler with less clarity would have jumped in on Mouse and probably died right there. So glad that SOFM did not follow up on that kick.
What's funny about that is that Mouse gained a lot for that. Now he can actually regen HP because he has Skarl's HP
like,
in his favor.
to lane. Yeah. Give me a bit of courage back, and here comes Skull.
Thank you for the gank. I can actually put these potions to use, my friend. Thank you a lot. Wow, he actually gained so much HP.
Yeah, he's back to full now, so he's still going to recall, but it just meant he could get an extra wave out of that. So feels really good for Mouse right there.
Yeah, that's always fun to see happen. That being said,
it's just one of those champions, you know, that like a lot of players, even at like the professional level, they'll go for a gank and just like forget about exactly where the courage is at, as the Ty is looking just to disrupt the recall from Scout right now. And just forget about it, you know. There's like all these quirky mechanics, and then sometimes it can catch up to you.
Because it is such an insane champion. His most vulnerable point is actually also his just most vicious point, because you want to be able to gank him when he's Alpha Skarl, but if you mess up in any way, shape, or form, if you just don't have the AD, you'll lose out in a lot. Speaking of losing out,
SOFM has to take the Lantern and the Safeguard right on top of it, so he is good to go. Makes it on out, but Clear Love telling him to get off his lawn while he goes back to his...
Of course, SOFM just had that safety because of how well this bottom lane is going for Snake. Crystal can roam out quite a bit, which is something you really have to worry about. 5 minutes into the game, and already Snake is so far ahead. And like I say, so far ahead, like Zet has already CS'd quite well enough for himself, but it's just the
pressure.
Exactly, it's the pressure that Crystal was able to move across the map. That was just for safety to save out SOFM. The next one's going to be look towards mid.
Bit of a slight miscombo there from Scout. Did not get his taunt down, so didn't get max damage onto Zatai, but still good nonetheless. SOFM is very low going into that jungle, and he is being tracked by Clear Love. He knows Zatai went past, and good reactions in from SOFM. It's going to be a lot of damage. It's very tempting to go back in on, but with Scout being there, Zatai will jump back in. And Shatter, not enough to kill Clear Love, so both junglers make it out alive barely.
Yeah, I was surprised that Zatai didn't fully commit because he does have Flash in his favor, and Scout would not have enough damage to outright kill Zatai. So Zatai would have the ability to do something, but Mako
finds the taunt. Mako as well, the concussive blast, but not going to happen right here. Again, Zatai just taking a chunk of damage.
And Mako, really smart from him to be able to move out and roam towards the mid lane. He had the ability and freedom to do that because Kalista was still coming towards the bottom lane, just making the trap from base, and Kog'Maw was farming up safely underneath tower. So there's no bit of worry about Zek getting ganked, getting killed by anybody. So make your make some pressure known.
Oh, okay. Master just going right in here because he knows Scout's coming in once again, and he still hasn't even landed a single hit. The flash, the Justice Punch for the kill. Stylish as all hell. Scout with the first blood.
And you know what? If he was somehow able to get away from them because he had, or at least he didn't have flash just yet, but if he was able to get away, Kha'Zix was pretty close nearby, so the dive would have happened. Now this is a lead coming in for both Mouse and Scout. Wave being pushed up top, but at the same time Scout gets the kill. So that's a really good start from EDG.
No, really well played there from EDG. Gets that first blood. Though it is SOFM stealing away the red buff right here. And Clear Love knows it though. The flash kick and the kill right here. Shorty by Zatai, jumps in, but the exhaust from Mako so perfect as he finds the stun. Zet following after, and the damage from the Winds of War. Scout walks into lane, picks up another one that's spoon-fed to him.
And he flashes as well. Zatai thought he can get out of it. Just on the last, you know what, if he died just a millisecond sooner, probably wouldn't have been able to use Flash, but Zet is the new focus.
Crystal's here, 3 versus 2. It's a good trade so far from Snake, and SOFM confirms the kill. The chase continues on to Mako. And the Icathian surprise pops, but it is a kill in return. So SOFM not dissuaded from that one, but it looked bad for Clear Love, but gotta hand it to Mako. This is real hero.
This is beautiful from SOFM. It's sad that he couldn't get the kill affirmed. In fact, Zatai was sad for him because he did all he could to try and get it down, but Mako with a perfect timing on his exhaust. And yeah, all of that. And Ty uses his flash as well, so he's gonna be a little sadder now.
It's gonna be very sad the fact that that killed, the flash animation went off, and yet the Winds of War were still on the other side of the wall. So that's just one of those things. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes the game mechanics help you. Sometimes they wreck you. And that was just one of those times. So 2-1 in total. EDG still have the advantage. And the fact that 2 kills are now on Scout, good luck to Zatai ever killing him. Early kills onto Galio is an absolute terror because he just doesn't die in team fights. Yeah,
it was already going to be a difficult lane for Zatai because he wasn't going to be able to get pushed on Scout. Now Scout's going to be really feeling comfortable with the magic resist he has with the cowl. So if he just pushes up mid, that will create so much space for the bottom lane that he can now roam and have vision towards bottom side. That Mako and Zach can farm up pretty safely. This is going to put a big hamper to Snake, who really need an advantage early on in this game.
Yeah, very important to do that. Glad you mentioned that one, Raz, because they are somewhat up against the clock. There is a clock bar on the other side, and basically just this big, beefy teamfight composition that needs to break through. So Snake, these early kills, if these skirmishes don't start going away soon and promptly, will start moving away from them.
And one big thing too is that Kled can really start to snowball with any small advantage that goes in his favor. Because if it's just something as small as, he already had trade advantage on Jarvan, but if it's something like push advantage, because he has TM out, now he's going towards the armor boots and then the black cleaver. Once he starts to get these items under his belt, he's not even looking towards his matchup, but Galio is starting to get chained. Whew.
Nice, he's good to go. Very nice mechanics there as well from Scout. Just quick tapping the shield of Duran so he reduces the damage in from proc out from Zatai. Just the small things that add up. That's nice to see from a top level player.
And you negated the snare, or at least the stun coming in from Zatai because of the Justice Punch that he had to do. So he was able to make the move through the stun animation. That was nice.
Scout's good, if you didn't know. Turns out he's one of the best mid laners in the LPL. Taking out this Sentinel real quick because Scout's moving to the top lane with Clearlove. Oh, Flandre.
Oh, no.
He spotted one. Will flag and drag to safety.
And his spidey senses were tingling, so he's going to back away with the 3-man top side. So it just turns into a shoving match right here. Snake were already fast to the punch, but EDG are pushing back.
Trying to take down this tower as fast as possible, but the Fate's Call comes in and it's going to be a full-blown dive. Zet wants to get back to this tower, but Flandre with the TP. But in comes Mouse, wants to turn it around. In comes Scout as well, but he's a little too far away. Winds of War comes out, zones away OQ and Crystal before Snake come back in for another one. Mako goes down, and Zatai roaming in from the mid lane. They should surely be able to kill Scout, even though he is a monster right now. 30 kills for 1 over to Snake, but the top tower falls. It's still a 1-to-1 trade, and overall, a net positive to Snake.
And the number advantage was always going to be in Snake's favor because Clearlove was pushing top side while the TP from Flandre went down. And it was a really solid play and kick from SOFM to set Zet up and kill, or to die. And so OQ got the kill for himself. So he's now 2-0-2. Kalista is pretty damn fed at this moment in time.
What it will mean is Snake are slightly out of position for the Herald, so Clearlove should be able to pick this one up and gain a little bit of tempo back if we can get a tower off that one. And it would put them back into the lead, but well played by Snake here as EDG. It did look good for them initiating under this tower.
Yeah, and they go straight onto Zed. Mako was trying to create a front line for him, but it's not going to happen. Also, the TP coming through Flandre was really solid too. One big worry was that Snake didn't want to get flanked at all, but they were able to just kite it all the way back. So Mouse coming in for a countermeasure, or like to counter the dive coming through, did not work at all.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, Clearlove called out. I don't know if he picked up the Herald. He did pick up the Herald, so at the very least he got that consolation prize, but this could be converted into a top tower now from Snake as OQ brings in the minion wave.
And you know what? If Snake can keep up this pressure, it doesn't really matter if Clearlove has the Rift Herald for himself because he's going to set it down pretty damn deep into his own side of the map. So it's easier to kill. Yeah. So now Snake can pull this pressure through. They already have the second tower for themselves. They push really quickly, and Flandre is clearing out this wave.
Wave's gone. So keeps up the chase. Mouse is kicked right into the team, and it's the 1-2. This Mouse will combo break that one, but Crystal, the flash, the flay, the kill from SOFM. Anybody? Oki with a pierce. That finds that one as the push continues in the top lane. Mechanical outplays across the board.
It was not so long ago that we were talking about EDG playing the early game so well, but SOFM blew it wide open, and now they're looking towards Scout.
Scout is a little too tanky for Snake's taste at this point in time, but it's play after play. And we'd said it before, Raz, unless Snake start finding these advantages in these skirmishes, the game is done for, but they stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, they're already moving on to the mid lane turret. This is when you just don't have wave clear for yourself, or at least safe wave clear. Scout can do something with the gust that he has, but he has a pretty long cooldown. You have to walk up for it because he's melee. But this is what I live for. It's sad because he couldn't get the hook because he was invulnerable, just losing Scarl. Yeah, goes down anyways. Almost survived that one.
But he is good to go. So yeah, jumping off Scarl makes you untargetable, unfortunately, but almost an accident by SOFM by dismounting him for doing the extra damage, but also misplay from Crystal from throwing out the hook at that time. So it's 50-50, but it could have been the alley-oop into the hook, which would have been sick. Regardless, it's still Snake picking up those kills there, and with that tower advantage, you know, Snake are actually ahead all over the board with that Mountain Dragon. Clearly does still have the Herald. I don't know how long left is on it, though. I would expect maybe 2 minutes to 1 minute.
2 minutes, yeah.
So he's going to have to activate that soon, but it's pretty watertight. I can't see an opening right now for him to use it.
And that's the worry I had a little earlier on, is that he can't really use it. The next point of focus for Snake is going to be mid. Meanwhile, bottom lane was pushed out. It's great that Mouse was able to shove that right back out. But if they put Herald topside, you don't get anything out of it. Like, there's no way they'll commit to the next turret, right? If they go push it mid, there already is a major Snake presence mid lane that's going to try and force it back.
Just as punch that, but Fate's Call is up and available from OQ, so at the very least it will force OQ to pop his ult, but it's water under the bridge as Mouse is closing in from behind. Yeah, well, that's a little bit awkward, isn't it?
It's a swing and a miss, my friend. Swing and a miss, and the Observer's not going to let you have it.
He's not going to let you go.
Yeah.
Just as punch onto SOFM. Quick kick back, but he's caught out, and Clearlove, he does damage. Herald, it's opening up an opportunity for him to take the tower. Meanwhile, Flandre, flying, dragging, and the Cataclysm really just wants to disengage from here on out. Pick up the Herald, but the tower goes down. Hook onto Cogmore, and Crystal gonna pull the trigger to tie in from the side, but it's the hero's entrance keeping him alive. Down goes the support, down goes the jungler, and the mid tower. Big turnaround from EDG.
Yeah, it was really well played from EDG, and it all started from Mouse, because he had the earlier top lane shove, was able to move for a flank play in the tour that's mid. It was awkward, because of course he had nothing. He saw Thresh, and he's like, I gotcha. Just kidding, I got nobody. But that opened up the play for Rift Herald, and what that meant was that the mid lane tower was essentially useless. It was able to knock it down to like 1 or 20 HP, something so low that Snake essentially could not walk back towards it and say, all right, this is going to protect us. It's not going to protect you at all. So Snake lose out on a lot, and it was the one opening that EDG needed for that Rift Herald to matter.
And well played to EDG, because they knew that there was nothing that Clearlove could do by himself if he had the Herald, but breaking that mid tower is actually really good for them. Because regardless of it being 2 for 2 towers, the most important one is down for EDG, meaning they have a lot more breathing room, especially with the Dragon on the horizon here, Raz.
And that's the big focus. Both teams are now essentially even, and the next Dragon is going to be incredibly important because it's an Earth Dragon, and it's going to be Snake who will be looking towards it. They still have the composition that will cause EDG a lot of troubles at this point. You can see Zed doesn't even have Blade of the Rune King just yet, which is why it's a tie. Maybe he can get him.
Braum is here, but Time might find his opportunity. Flandre getting chased down by Mouse, and he's going to have to make his way back to his tower because he does not win this trade. But he is alright for now. SOFM making his way up river, the warding coming down from Snake.
Here's the thing, with Dragon coming up in 15 seconds, I wonder what Mouse is going to do. He wants to look to roam towards the mid lane with the wave that's being shoved out top. So he's doing it right now, that's smart. But they should look towards a play before Dragon comes. It's already up in 3 minutes, 3 seconds I mean. But if you can look for a fight in the mid lane, which is wide open, he's already doing it. Nah, he couldn't find anything. That's smart from Snake to just back away. Kalista knew that was going to happen, just stayed away, well clear from the mid lane.
Snake have a bunch of power spikes though. Zatai did complete his Gunblade. Top lane with like a full item but has components of the Black Cleaver, so it would have been nice to complete that before this fight. But, c'est la vie. OQ has his Blade of the Rune King. 3-0 too actually. He's been picking up a lot of these kills from these skirmishes, so Snake are not even in a bad shape to try and fight this one.
Yeah, they're actually in a good position. They want to be able to push mid, but with that being said,
yeah,
Mouse
is pulling the trigger into the mid lane. Scout's coming in as well. He wants to taunt up more than just the top lane, but Flange is going to take a bunch of damage. Use the Cataclysm to jump back into this back line. F2FM falls. Satai looking for the assassinate onto Clearlove, but doesn't quite find it. And he is searching. Snake lose their jungler, and EDG are beelining it towards his dragon now.
And what a smart trap from Mouse. Snake thought they had a good position to walk mid and have mid control, so they could get constant dragon control and pressure. Because EDG constantly had to look to force it, but the moment they walked mid, Mouse was ready to use his ulti and force the fight. So that was, thinking a few steps ahead on it.
Very smart. And well played to EDG. They knew that they probably couldn't take Snake on in a full-on brawl. So if they flank them, get the element of surprise before Snake can rally, then that was their way into it. And getting the instant pick onto SOFM, the fact that Zet didn't die, there was no assassinate in from Satai, was all just good things for EDG. So they now even up the mountain dragons. The next dragon's also going to be another mountain, so we've been blessed this game.
And this one's going to be incredibly beneficial for EDG because they will feel comfortable fighting the 5v5 now. Beforehand, they had to find a trap to get the flank initially to make Mouse a little bit more, have more presence in these team fights. But now with Zet, he has the Blade of the Rune King. He's going to be able to get another attack speed out of Zeal into Runan's Hurricane by next dragon. So with that being said, Zet should be online for that fight.
Additionally, the Black Cleaver has been completed by both top players right now. And plus, Mouse has been picking up a bunch of kills from these fights, so he's getting stronger and stronger. Mid lane going to be cleared out by Scout. As long as Galio is there, pretty unlikely that you're going to take the tower. And OQ is forced to carry on hitting him while the hook lands, following from the kick. But I don't know why you expend all these resources on Galio. It's going to take so long to kill him, if you even kill him at all. Here is entrance used on Clearlove just in case the chase carried on happening. But that was ambitious from Snake.
Yeah, with how tanky Scout was, he was able to survive for so long, but it looks like they're going to be doubling down.
Yeah, mid tower still falling. It's alive just barely. The defense mounted from EDG, though Scout did have to go back to base. That being said, he does have the TP if needed.
This kind of fizzles out. So this is really risky for Snake because they're starting to figure out that they can go for these picks, and that's what they're going to have to go back on as the game gets longer, that they just need to find smaller and smaller picks. It can't be on Scout because it's going to take too long, and EDG are going to be looking to collapse. But if they can get it on Mako or Clearlove or Zet, then that would be nice for them. But with the strong team fight that EDG has now, that they can push back a lot easier.
EDG are ever so slightly ahead on gold, but it's more about where the gold is distributed at this point in time. OQ has gone for a Quicksilver Sash, in fact, so wants to get outside of that taunt, and where the CC is there? I guess it is just the taunt.
Yeah, it would have to be the taunt. Maybe if Braum gets off a few more autos, with his passive that is.
Yeah, but that's like that's the only thing, because you can't get out of the knock-up with it.
Yeah, definitely cannot.
There's no like Lee Sin kick to jump out of and instantly flash with, so
that's why you could probably just not go for the QSS, and you can just go towards the Runans into Phantom Dancers that we've been seeing from Callista's. But the gold that he purchased to go into SS is probably not worth it for this instance.
I guess it is just for the taunt though, because if he gets taunted up and blown up by like a mouse and a Clearlove, then he just want to be outputting these damages in the skirmishes.
It's all on execution on that one.
Yeah.
Because he still has to worry about Mouse more than anything. That's who he's going to be autoing more often than not, with Mouse just looking to clearly dive into him. And Scout's entire purpose in these fights is just protecting Zet. Now, obviously, Scout is going to be looking for taunts whenever he can.
Sure.
Looking for taunt plays, but he wants to be able to protect Zet from the dives of Flandre and Zatai. So we'll have to see how the team fights actually play out. I'd be interested in how often OQ is going to be able to use this, or at least is looking to use this QSS.
It's actually a really annoying composition from EDG in terms of the CC that they use, because it's like knock up, knock back, and then a slow, another knock back, and knock up from Scout, another knock up from Mako. So you can't do anything about any of that CC. It just happens.
It's a sad life. You just have to QSS flash. That's about it.
Yeah.
You're going to be going for the flash QSS every time.
It's the only thing you can do. It's also a little known fact that you can also QSS Lee Sin's kick while you're flying, and then if you button mash a movement ability like a flash, you can actually get out of it. But it requires like literally frame perfect.
A lot of the AD carries here in the LPL can do that really well. I love seeing how often AD carries here could, if they get immediately flash kicked by Lee Sin, you're like, well, I'm not even, it doesn't happen. Essentially, I'm already flashed out, so you didn't even have enough time to deal the damage while I was flying into your team.
Yeah. So it is one of the risks from Lee Sin if he goes on top of an AD carry with QSS, but more often than not, it is usually okay because someone else to double down on the CC.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting in the builds happening here, with now SOFM going a lot more defensive here. He's going for the Maw, which is, I guess, Kog'Maw's doing mixed damage, but I'm more interested in the fact that we're having the double locket that's being built out here. Locket going to be built on Crystal unless if he veers off to the left with another item, and SOFM's going for it himself. So it's going to be, I want to see how it's being used. I think there's going to be a surprise with Crystals, because I don't really like the double locket unless we're going into double AP.
Yeah.
So he might be building into, I want to see, does Banshee's Banner? Yeah. I think Banshee's Veil builds off that, if I remember correctly. People don't build it as much as often, so it's always so difficult to see what it builds into. Just be an AP item, tank item.
Yeah, I just feel like I would have expected maybe like Crystal or SOFM or one of them to have picked up the Redemption instead of that, because these don't stack. The shield is halved, whereas if you go double Redemption, similar thing, but if you get one of each, then you're just getting full value from both. So
I agree.
Yeah, it might just be it might just be a banner pickup.
Yeah. And if you go Redemption, you just lock yourself up in not having a lot of resistances for yourself, and Crystal's going for it. But yeah, as we say that, Snake once again going in for a Baron fight.
I've seen this one before, but it was in a different game. Baron is dropping low. Hero's entrance comes in, and EDG have taken control over the pit. The flag drag to relative safety. Flandre is alive for now, while Scout saying, hello, team. I would like some assistance on the Baron right now.
Just punches it.
But here comes Zet. Should be able to take this one down. Clearlove just need to confirm this with the smite. Mako kick into the pit. SOFM jumps in, but he's a little too late. And in the wrong place at the wrong time. SOFM goes down, and the Baron secured by EDG. And this is all too reminiscent of Game 1.
And Snake, this is the second time they think they can catch EDG sleeping, and they're like, maybe this time around it won't work out in that favor. In fact, we have Callista. We can take the smite 100%. Not going to happen when EDG just shoves you off the Baron entirely. And Scout just sticks in the pit to keep the Baron alive so it doesn't heal back up. So EDG, once again, plays it all too well. And Snake are like, we've just been read. this wasn't,
Raz, Snake, you know what they need?
What do they need?
Is a plan B. They always have a plan A, and then when that goes wrong, they have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
Because they were committed to the Baron. They saw EDG on the few wars that they had deep into that jungle, and they were like, all right, we're committed.
Yep.
We have to go in now. There is no plan B. There's nothing else that we can do.
Here's what's sad about this. There is a plan B, but it's very much the same to the plan A, which is why it's so hard to distinguish between both of them.
I'm just saying all you have to do is just have a plan to get out.
Oh, that's never going to be the plan for Snake.
I know, but if they had that, it would be okay. Like, Crystal could jump over the wall, toss a lantern, everyone else flashes away. Like, you have a bunch of characters on this team who have jumps able to get over that wall, but they just hard commit every single time.
That's true, but they feel the need to, because if they back away entirely, they lose Baron in their minds, and it's very much true. They'll lose the game, right? It feels very difficult for them, especially a strong team-fighting team of EDG, and with a strong team-fighting comp with Baron. Like, that in and of itself, that's a death sentence.
SOFM still going to try for it, though, and that was a great alley-oop right into the hook there from Crystal, and they take out Zed. This could be a great fight now from Snake as Mouse comes in for the flank. Scout still zoning away, but Zatai unloading on top of Scout of all players. He needs to save that combo for someone else who isn't a magic-absorbing Colossus. Here comes Flandre once more, but he's dragged in, locks everybody into the pit with him, but he goes down. He was definitely trapped in with the enemy team, as Crystal will have to jump away. Hero's entrance locks up a couple targets as the chase continues to Mouse. He goes down off of Skull, but that's just one member off the team, while everyone else is just picking up kills left and right. Zatai and SOFM, the only remaining members to tell the tale what happened in mid lane. 3 kills to EDG. The mid tower goes down. Mountain Dragon also went over to EDG, so these towers are literally paper to them.
And that was a triple kill for Mouse. This has been the Kled game of his life. He may have found a new champion. And you think it looks bad for EDG because of that excellent kick from SOFM into the death sentence from Thresh. They immediately take out the hyper carry and you're like, all right, let's move forward. But Zatai doesn't have the damage. Scout is positioning so well. Clearlove is just zoning the backline with his W, just completely slowing them, chunking them. So Zatai and Crystal couldn't really do anything about it. And then this is when EDG turns it back. A double kill for Mouse. And of course, just gets himself the last hit on the last one. So now he is 6, 1, and 3. Mouse is loaded.
It's the LPL pick. It works for every top laner apparently. Is Flandre, man, he just wanted the Grump. And you know what he got instead? He got Clearlove, who is eating him alive.
Oh, that's not a good...
And here's Scout as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, he literally just respawned as well.
He did.
So, he's going to go back to the Death Chamber and have to consider his actions.
He thought he saw the light with that lantern. Went into death. Nah, just another person who was trying to kill him.
Timeout, Flandre. So Tai also getting chased down. Honestly, for how that that model was moving, I thought it was the clone, but it was actually Zatai's real model.
Yeah,
and Snake are falling apart, man.
This hasn't been the game for Zatai. He's made a few flanks, but every single time he's done
get him,
so.
SOFM.
This is the classic SOFM.
The classic SOFM.
His classic maneuver.
All right, where's Raptors?
The game. All right, let's see. Can you counter jungle? No, you can't.
There's no camps.
Yeah, that's true.
Otherwise he would.
Tried. He threw the Q.
There was no Merc Wall.
All right, guys, I'm trying for a flank, but they're 10 miles away from me.
The adventures of SOFM and behind enemy lines. The new thriller.
Yeah.
Who would direct that though?
Hopefully not
Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you picked that one up because I was thinking Michael J. So I just could not remember the man's name. Probably a
did
good
SOFM recall yet? Okay, he finally did. Crystal, he's off alone warding by himself. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, Raz.
Come on,
Let's get some come on Razes up in this chat.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, it's just complete mental boom right now from Snake. Like Zatai getting caught out, Flandre getting caught out, Crystal getting caught out.
And here's the thing, in Zatai, or at least in SOFM's mindset, this game's probably over. He had the 2 kick of his life. He's just been playing so damn well this game.
I know.
Massive kicks in their favor. They even killed Zet
Uh-oh.
before the fight even started. Oh, thank God.
If that had landed.
Yeah. But it amounted to nothing.
Flandre just wants to play League of Legends. That's all he wants to do. But Mouse is always there to ruin his day. Push comes in the bottom lane. Top tower falls. This game is slowly ending. The curtains are coming down.
Hey, nobody yelling for encore here. They're just too upset with how this game's going on with SOFM.
No one wants an encore at this stage.
Yeah.
Next one, Clearlove stepping up. Another tower in the bottom lane.
Oh my God! I don't know if you want that SOFM.
SOFM is actually griefing in this game, as that's definitely assisting enemy team as he gives Galio the perfect taunt onto his team. Crystal drags in Mako, and Snake needs to draw the line somewhere. It has to be at these 2 Nexus turrets, but if I'm EDG, I just back away. You know, job well done. We just in one push took every inhib, every tower, apart from the Nexus turrets remaining from Snake. So. Wrap it up, boys. Let's go back to base. Pick up some items. You deserve it.
This is when I asked you the question of if the client in LAN actually allows you to report somebody. That's I want to find that one out. I'm going to ask a few people because this is the only game in which that's relevant. EDG right now, they have the game, right? So that's triple inhib. The only thing that Snake can do, and they've done this before, so everyone tune in, this is something, they're going to look for at least one last stand.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking for SOFM skip. He's been on point so far this game in being able to nail it down for his team. He has been playing phenomenally, even though I've been joshing around and messing with this guy. Yeah, Flandre, you're going to have a bad time here. Hopefully you get out of this. Thank goodness. But SOFM has had the game of his life here. He's been playing incredibly well. He's had massive kicks. He wants to look for one again. He has to get Zet, because even though they lost the last fight when he got Zet before the fight even began, if Zet survives, he will tear you to shreds.
I mean, that was just too well played by Mako, unfortunately. Yeah. So as much as we talk about it, that one last play, EDG are also playing out of their minds right now. They're not going to give up this game. Zet is doing so much damage. Flandre jumps into the backline, but promptly makes his escape. Meanwhile, everyone is dying on the side of Snake. Clearlove did fall, however, but Scout simply doesn't take any damage, and Zatai just wants back to his fountain at this point in time. First Nexus turret falls, second was already dead. In fact, S2FM, all he can do is look for a kick on the spawn pad, but it looks like he used it in that last fight. Then Zed wants to pad out his scoreline onto the pad. It's going to end. Unfortunately for his scoreline, it's not going to be increased as EDG toy with their food and take a prompt 2-0 to start our day off.
And this ends this episode of the neighborhood battles for Snake versus EDG as EDG gets the last laugh. And EDG needed this one. I guess they both did, but EDG losing 2-0 to Dan Gaming in the beginning of this week feels a lot better to take down Snake.
Looks like a different team, Raz.
Exactly, and it's a rebirth, I suppose, of Clearlove, who sticks around, of course, in both these games, and they just look great.
Yeah, it does honestly feel good to see a return to form for Clearlove, because last split when we saw him, he was okay. He was a passable jungler.
Yep.
It was not the Clearlove that we all remember from International, but whatever happened in off-season, this guy suddenly extremely strong, and there you go, Flandre. Didn't even notice EGD were behind him, so still smiles and good banter between both of these two teams. Of course, they are still friends. But at the end of the day, EDG taking a well-deserved bow for that 2-0. It will be a one-on-one on the week, dropping that series to Dan Gaming earlier on. But still, they can play like this for the rest of this split. EDG will be in a fantastic position to claim a world's spot for themselves.
Yeah, and that's the first step, of course. Beating Snake, hopefully get a rematch on Dan Gaming to kind of reclaim that score line. But EDG looking great off that point, and then it's a Snake who will have a bit of talking once they get into the back, where they can't take down EDG, that's fair. But remember, they are in a tough group. They have to be expected to fight back and make these games competitive. It looked good in game one, but they fall into the same trap as you've mentioned. It seems like there hasn't been no growth for the team, as you've mentioned, where Snake can look so good in the early game, where they can have a really stellar pick-off or team fight, but then they only have one plan after that, where it comes to the Purple Worm and just going for desperation plays. So there we have it.
And you said it looked good for them in game one, Raz, but I don't even know if I agree with you there. This series was definitely a catastrophe for Snake. But welcome back, Rusty, to the desk. And are you confused this time round? Do you have different emotions? How's it going?
Game 2 was longer, Raz. They put up a little bit more of a fight this time. They managed to make it until around 20-25 minutes until they started completely imploding as a team. And again, a lot of that comes down to Flandre, but for the rest of Snake, I still think this was actually a better performance. SOFM and Crystal were a really good duo. The kicks were incredible, the mechanics were incredible, and the fact that there was always a hook ready means that the communication was definitely there from these guys. So when I look at Snake's team composition, I liked it. I liked what they were trying to do, but it feels like it was always going to be a ticking time bomb of can they get fed enough. Because even if OQ went 10-0, he was up against the Kled, Kha'Zix, Galio, Braum that are going to deny all of him, and nothing was going to deny the Kog'Maw's damage. You had to kill him to deny that. But again, EDG's team composition keeps him alive. There's no way of really killing him. If Jarvan ults him, keeps him in a circle, and Galio ults a bigger circle, it's actually really hard to hit him.
Yeah, because he's the only one who's just gone deep, and then suddenly he's just by himself. So there were definitely limitations there, and it was very unfortunate that Galio happened to pick up 2 early kills in the mid lane. So it's like, well, LeBlanc's never getting fed. Unless you go side lanes. Side lanes play defensive. One's a Kled, so you're not going to kill him. Suddenly it becomes very difficult for Snake to win, despite the early game not honestly looking that bad for them. Yeah,
Snake were able to push ahead, or at least push past that problem, but the problem was still pretty large, and Galio was able to get the double kills you mentioned, but also Mouse was playing incredibly well in this game and was always having shove topside and was smart and had to set up fights as the mid game came along. So it felt like there was such a large wall that Snake had to go past, and every single time they peeked their head out of it, they still had to find a way to break it down.
The wall was way too large, right? And even Mouse getting engages off, there was a lot of good things from him. So whilst we said maybe earlier that not that great from Flandre, Snake's top laner, caught out of position, flag dragging over to Gromps when people are going to be there. It happened like 3 times. There was still a positive converser to that. And Mouse, who did look a lot better. And EDG looked better with Mouse.
I also have to raise a question that, like, coming into week 1, which team does Snake actually challenge, like, moving forward, right? Because you have teams like EDG, WE, even IG, and IMA we're going to see later today, see how they're holding up. But there's a lot of strong contenders in this group, like old playoff contention teams that we saw in spring as well. So who does this team actually, like, challenge further down the road? I'll ask that question in a second, as we do have our MVP, which is going to be Scout here. Picked up those early kills on Galio and simply didn't die.
And he was a great frontlining force. It's funny because when you look towards MVP mid laners, like, how much damage did he do? How well did he play team fights? But he was a major frontline, and he was getting great engages off for them. So the fact that, yeah, he's on the Galio, different expectations.
Yeah, it's not how much damage did he do, it's how much did he take and how little did he die whilst taking that damage, because then it's reasonably meaningful damage that he has then been taking a lot of the sieges mid lane, the fact that he was clearing waves, denying perhaps the one entry from Snake that tried to kick him mid. It was a desperation play. It almost felt like killing a Galio with everything up, including Flash, but because he lives there, there's no chance for Snake moving forwards. And the best part is after that, there is one replay to show, Raz. I bet you can guess what it is.
Ooh.
Almost deja vu again. So we get to see some big fights from EDG. Big team fights, big turnarounds. This is actually big for me. The reason that I want to show this is SOFM firstly, big play, straight into a hook. They kill Zet. EDG are like, oh no, we better run away. And Jarvan tries to go forwards. And once he tries to go forwards, who's the target he's meant to kill here? Like, is it Clearlove? Because he's behind people. That's not likely. But he still goes, still ults and gets 3. But then Mako puts up a door and is like, nah, like, that's just not going to happen. And immediately all of EDG at once, and like,
Pounce.
Literally all of them in 1 second go forwards and take out their opponents. And this to me is like the story of the entire series, is that Snake go forwards, they overreach a little bit too much after they make the good play. They don't know when to stop. They do it at the Baron. When they do the Baron at 20 minutes in the first game, 24 minutes in the second game, the same thing happens. Constantly not knowing how much is too much and when to just taper off.
Yeah, and then suddenly EDG just, like, instantly turn around and blast them. And that just happened over and over again. And to go back to the question I was asking, like, up against EDG, okay, it's EDG at the top of, at the end of the day. There's going to be like a top 2 team most likely, but who do they actually challenge in this group? Is it likely that Snake in this current state will make it even into playoff contention?
This is where I say that it looks really bad for them, because they're going up against Dan and Ime, right? Everyone else is EDG and WE. You don't expect them to come out and be able to. In fact, they just lost to EDG, so it's a bad start for them. Dan already had a great setup against EDG, and they were 2-0 against them, so they have to be able to take that team because they are the up-and-comers. They were the, I guess, like the third-place team in the LPL. Yep. That should be the expectation. Snake beats them. And then Ime, who actually is coming up pretty big, coming in from Demacia Cup. So if they can't do that, like, that's tough enough as is. And we're not even expecting them to beat out 2 teams. So they're in a tough group to start. They probably would have been much happier if they went in Group B.
I'm willing to say from this performance alone, they still have what it takes to beat IG and IMA and probably also Dan. And that can put them towards the playoff position. I don't see them just off this, again, very small sample size, competing for a top 3 spot in this group. But in saying that, it was an inconsistent performance from some of the members, but we also saw the star performances that some are also able to do. SOFM, as a part of his team, being a big carry. It's a necessity, but he did it. It's just the rest of it isn't always there at the right time. And ultimately, if Snake are all firing at the same time, that's why we put them number 1 for Spring Split as our power rankings before we saw the games. We know they can be.
Yeah, they're all incredibly talented individual players. We saw that in the game, and I think Crystal has showcased great communication with his jungler and also just great mechanics for himself. So they just don't lose out when it comes to individual mechanics, and they showcase up against EDG that they come out ahead in certain instances and certain skirmishes. But it's just like the inconsistencies are just so bad, right? Like, that's just how it is.
But they've come closer, right? You know, in the last split, like, things have helped. Like, Crystal going to support position has helped the lineup. We are seeing glimmers of hope. SOFM went through rehabilitation in the bottom lane, goes back into the jungle, suddenly doesn't have those random times we just goes Raptors constantly, you know, gets past that, and then actually has some really good performances. Like, this game in particular was a very good thing for that. But it needs to be, as Rusty said, all of those things firing at the same time, and that's not what's aligning right now with that team.
So they can prove us wrong. And, like, next 2 weeks, remember, this is just week 1. So next 2 weeks, they can just showcase the same strength and cut out all of their losses and be able to showcase, like, great like Group A play and come out with random 2-0 finishes in both week 2 and week 3. That all can happen. And honestly, we probably wouldn't even be surprised because of how last split went for them and how some weeks they came out 2-0, other weeks they came out 0-2, and we just didn't know what to expect from them week to week.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Snake and LGD win this split,
Oof.
but I would also be surprised if they do, just because of how inconsistent they are at the same time, right? Like their player level is the caliber that you can send to Worlds from our region, but their team level is far below that.
Yes.
So what I mean when I say that is I don't expect LGD to win. I don't expect Snake to win. But if they do, it's because they've fixed the team play parts of it. They can actually do it. They have capabilities there.
True.
It feels like it's going to be a click moment for them and actually a few other teams like an IMA where it's just like suddenly maybe they had the ability to do it, but mentally they couldn't make it happen. And just 1 week suddenly works, and then they find the momentum, you know. But it's until we actually get there and we find out what it is that makes them click and suddenly mesh together as a team before that happens. So we'll see. It's still week 1. There's still a long way to go, but we still have to look at this split as everything matters. You know, spring is definitely the leader, but even coming into week 1, week 2, in these early weeks, every single win matters for these teams in the road to Worlds. You know, people cannot be slacking, and that's when we look at teams like RNG who are dropping games all over the place, which is like, you need to get these teams, need to get these wins, guys. It's very important for you. Regardless, we're going to take a quick break, so we're going to set up for our next series of the day. Let's go ahead and take 5. We'll be back after this.